this computer, and then we have okay. So what we are trying to do is uh, and engineer tissues. Okay, let's just go ahead. Let me do this. Let me go into the screen mode so you can have a better view. सही है, अब screens full उस पे है. Right. So let's go ahead. This is the way that the course has been structured. And this course is very extensive. Inshallah, by the end of this course, you will have a very deep understanding of what is tissue engineering, सही है, design strategies of scaffolds for tissue engineering. What is a scaffold? Scaffold होता क्या है? Scaffold का करते क्या है? Scaffold क्यों कहते हैं? What is a scaffold? कभी सुना है आपने anything, any from anyone?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
बिल्कुल I read it in different articles. What my understanding of this word is, it's kind of a template or mold which we utilize to grow the tissues.
Absolutely correct. It's a template. You are absolutely correct. I was in a conference in Sweden, and there's a
Hmm.
big biomaterials professor. उनका नाम है Williams. David Williams, Liverpool के हैं, but he is based in US, and he's a big name in biocompatibility. And he was saying that, everybody called them scaffold, but he said it's a template. It's a template to carry cells, to carry growth factors, to carry drugs, right, whatever you want. So yeah, and then what kind of growth factors, which are biochemical signals that we need for tissue engineering purposes? So what are those? What are those factors? You will understand. उसके बाद a big role is played by polymers and nanobiomaterials in tissue scaffolds. What kind of polymers are used? You already know some polymers, synthetic, natural polymers. सही है. Earlier on, when there were more students, I had tried to bring in guest speakers, and guest speakers had presented. But since it's just you, it's difficult to invite speakers in a way that, if the audience was big. But what we'll try to do is we'll still try to get someone, and we'll gather people. उसके बाद मिड टर्म है आपका, और उसके just before that, this introduction to regenerative dentistry. And in that, after the midterm, we will have a lecture on bone tissue engineering. We'll target what kind of strategies do you need to tissue engineer bone specifically. Okay, cancellous bone, cortical bone, कितनी porosity होनी चाहिए. Okay, how many cells do you need? What kind of cells do we need to have? Then craniofacial, cartilage, tendon, and multi-tissue engineering interface. So articular cartilage ho gaya, or articular eminence, and in your temporomandibular joints. There's a fibrocartilage, which is the most used joint in your body, so TMJ. So how do we regenerate? How do we engineer those things? And then the most interesting one, parental tissue engineering. What are the strategies that have been adapted? Inshallah, the aim would be to give you cutting edge science, cutting edge research, जो कि अभी हो रही है. So you can then decide what to do. And then endodontic regeneration and strategies to achieve that. और उसके बाद tissue engineering in cleft palate and other congenital malformation. So, and that will cover the orthodontic aspect. और उसके बाद फिर होगा final exam. सही है? Are you ready for
All
it?
right, all geared up.
चलें चलें चलें. Okay then, let's start this. बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. अच्छा, इसकी कुछ बुक्स एंड रिसोर्सेज हैं, सही है. आई कैन शेयर इट विद यू. The number one book that I've put up here is by authors Robert Langer, Joseph Ficanti, Anthony Atala. Have you heard these names before?
Not yet, never.
सही है, सही है. If you look up COVID-19, one of these names will stand out. Uh, Robert Langer would come out. Joseph Conti is the person who grew a ear on the back of a rat. So yeah, so I'll tell you, he grew a ear, tissue engineered an ear on the back of the rat or a mouse. Or Anthony Atala is a professor who 3D printed uh I think it was a 3D printed a liver or an organ in 1980s and implanted it. Right now, when we're talking about additive manufacturing or 3D printing, he did that long time ago. So this is the book called Principles of Tissue Engineering. I can share that with you. The other really interesting book over here is इसका नाम है Buddy Ratner. This is the person Alan Hoffman, Jack Lemons, and Introduction to Materials in Medicine. ये भी बहुत अच्छी है. And there are some papers over here and some videos and TED Talks, and specifically this one. I hope you can get time. I'll share this lecture with you, and you can go to the TED Talk and uh, get inspired by listening to these technology breakthroughs over the past decades or so. So yeah,
Okay, all right.
chalo, let's go ahead. So what is the motivation? What does tissue engineering and regenerative medicine, what is the motivation behind it? Why do you want to tissue engineer an organ? So दुनिया भर में there are a lot of diseases around, okay? The systemic conditions हैं. And one of the ways is to treat them conventionally, and the conventional ways are you can intervene, you can take you can use the conventional therapeutic strategies. You can treat it by medicines. से आप treat कर सकते हैं to fix that organ or a tissue, or you can repair it a little bit. But at some point in time, I've quoted down skin burn, diabetes, liver disease, kidney. So at some point in time, you would you would run out of organs because दुनिया भर में इतने organs are malfunctioning that people need organ transplant every now and then, and there's a huge list of donors that are available. Be careful. I'm not talking about Pakistan. I'm talking globally. दुनिया भर में ऐसा हो रहा है कि you know, and one of the most interesting thing is skin. Skin burn victims have been adapting tissue engineering strategies over the past 5 to 10 years. Up tissue engineering strategies are now kind of the main theme. And similarly, liver disease and kidney have also been looked into that. Okay. So, in just to give you an example, liver disease, liver is involved in, it produces endocrine enzymes. It makes vitamin D, or it's involved in renal failure and cause different inflammatory responses. So, if at some point in time this organ is removed, okay, uh, you want to replace it with another organ that is another synthetic organ. So one of the strategies is tissue engineering. के आप tissue engineering के through you can actually create another liver from the stem cells of patients. So if you want to ask anything now, you're free to stop and just say, okay, I have a question. So yeah, अगर कोई question आए और कुछ नहीं समझ आए, throughout this course, just ask anytime, anything you want. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So, what are the current treatment options when you talk about, given some stats, a whole organ transplant is the only solution specifically for liver. Okay, I've given a chart over here from 1988 to 2000. If you can see, the graph has grown. There is a significant increment in the graph with time from 1988 to 2020, and this is for kidney transplants. Okay, you can see how the graph has grown. Let's look at the liver transplant. They have grown significantly with time. Number of organ transplants in the US only. So yeah, so this data has been taken from the US Department of Health and Human Services. And countries that cannot afford a transplant, then the patient ends up losing their liver, and consequence of other systemic conditions can come up. So yeah, so what can tissue engineering and regenerative medicine do? So tissue engineering, what it aims to do is it can fabricate the liver in lab using synthetic or natural polymer, extracting the stem cells of patients from embryonic or adult stem cells, and growing those stem cells and populating or seeding those stem cells onto that artificially grown liver, and then it can be implanted into the patient. And the aim is to predictably treat diseases. The aim is to have a predictable regeneration. I'll give you an example of periodontal tissue engineering. Periodontal tissue engineering में you loss of periodontal ligaments, alveolar bone, and acellular cementum, and there are regenerative strategies available. But the ideal scenario for a tissue engineer or periodontal tissue engineer is that they can have predictable regeneration. They can say, okay, I'm putting a scaffold. इसके बाद clinical attachment level would be better. इसके बाद there would be no bone loss or even vertical bone height भी बढ़ जाएगी, and acellular cementum would regenerate as well. And this is predictable. So, for example, giving an adult the healing capacity of a child. Got it? So,
Hmm.
engineering tissues was recently developed and defined in 1980. So, I mean, it has been around for quite a while, but 1980s is considered as a landmark year that things started to change drastically with time. And as you can see, tissue engineering interest amongst researchers, amongst clinicians, amongst investigators, it picked up. So, hey, क्या चीज? What is? How do you define it? मतलब आप इसको मतलब how do you put into words what is tissue engineering? So, as it says, it is an interdisciplinary field. That means a clinician is not good on its own. He needs a biologist, he needs a chemist, he needs a physicist, he needs an engineer. Okay, which applies to the principles of engineering and the life sciences towards the development of biological substitute that restore, maintain, and improve tissue function. So this field. So for example, in dentistry now the concept is comprehensive care, and now you need to take a consult from the prosthodontist, from the orthodontist, from the periodontist, and then make a concerned decision. So yeah, similarly in tissue engineering, it's a interdisciplinary or a multidisciplinary field where engineers, physicists, biologists, chemists, they all come together, put their heads together, and what they're trying to do is to develop biological substitutes, whether it's soft or hard tissues, that can restore, maintain, and improve tissue function. Okay? To simply put into words.
Okay.
So this is the model that was created. So this was grown. The ear was grown on the back of of a mouse, and it has been around for quite a while. And so tissue engineers have pushed the boundaries of science a lot as nanotechnology has grown up. And even now, when artificial intelligence is coming in, so tissue engineering has completely changed what it was for the past, 50, 20 years or so. So, as I said, one aspect is engineering. So, tissue engineering का एक aspect is engineering. So, engineering में, our understanding of engineering. Say, let's give you an example of bone. Okay, uh, researchers did not develop a deep understanding of bone or mechanotransduction and or bone physiology, if I want to say it like that. Mechanotransduction means how bone responds to mechanics or load. सही है ना? Wolff's law हमको पता है कि when you load a bone, only then when the load is removed, the bone starts resorpting. So our understanding grew with time, and we became smarter, clever. Uh, so enough understanding of artificial biomaterials that we can synthesize such templates that can be used for such therapy. So हम लोग की engineering जो concepts थे, they became clear, and you started to devise. You have a question?
No, not raise hand. I was just wondering that why is it appearing? It's just
अच्छा, I don't know. Or just interfere, don't
no,
worry.
it's from your side.
हाँ मेरा है. Just don't worry, just interfere, कोई मसला नहीं है. I will. So, other aspect जो है ना इसका life biological sciences है. So again, biology of cells, we didn't know how to harness cells, how to grow cells, how to expand cells, उनको seed किस तरीके से करते हैं, how do we culture them, how do we freeze them. So our understanding was very limited, and mature technology to use cell cultures to create complicated structures. So how to use these cells to create cellular structures, और इस cells को हम लोग body में किस तरह लेके जाएंगे? Can we take it in a gel form? Can we take it on a membrane? Can we take it on a porous substrate? So it relies on it relies on culture cells and build materials that are biocompatible. So Engineering and life biological sciences की understanding has grown dramatically over the past 25 years, and where we are at right now at this point in time, tissue engineering is producing these excellent innovations in science. So yeah, so it has grown with time a lot. So yeah, okay.
Done. Okay.
Now, what is the triad? What is this triad? Tissue engineering this is the holy grail. This is the holy triad जिसको आप कहते हैं. Without this, tissue engineering will not exist. Whenever tissue engineering is talked about, these three things come into play. Cells, okay. Without cells, you won't be able to engineer tissues, or you won't be able to jumpstart healing. A scaffold or a template to carry the cells inside, and then signaling molecules. These signaling molecules can be growth factors, can be hydroxyapatite, could be calcium phosphate, or even bioglass for that sake. Okay. Anything, or any drugs, or any molecules, or any proteins that we can add. And the combination of this triad, okay, makes and this is called as the engineering triad. So, yeah.
Okay.
So what comes in cells? Cells में you got autologous, heterologous, differentiated and stem cells होते हैं. Scaffolds are usually made up of metals, polymers, ceramics, or composites. Can be a mixture of metals and polymers, ceramics or metals, synthetic or natural. Any natural polymer do you know, Maliha?
Natural polymer? No.
Yeah, you know. I know you know.
Uh, but I'm not able to identify maybe.
हम्म हमारे यहाँ उसके कपड़े बनते हैं. कपड़े
No
किसके
idea.
कपड़े किस चीज के बनते हैं?
Usually cotton stuff.
अच्छा. और कॉटन और शिफॉन तो नहीं हुए. व्हाट इज द लास्ट थिंग लेफ्ट? सिल्क. सिल्क.
Silk. Yes, yes, yes,
Silk
yes.
is a natural polymer.
Uh, Natural
Alginate
polymer.
is a natural polymer. Hyaluronic acid is a natural polymer. Okay.
Natural polymer. Right,
These are
right, right.
natural polymer. For that sake, there's another natural polymer called as chitosan or chitosan or chitin. That's again a natural polymer. So yeah, they are naturally derived.
Right.
That means they are derived from natural sources. Silk is one of is the most popular amongst them. उसके बाद signaling molecule, this can be growth factors, can be hormones, can be small molecules, proteins, IRNA, and even drugs. So, okay, and combine these all together in in a triad that will give you a bioactive construct. Okay, so if I'm saying a scaffold, if I'm saying a template, I'm saying a construct, it is the same thing. So yeah, basically something
Okay.
that can carry the cells and the growth factors into the body. Okay, so what are stem cells? Have you heard about stem cells before? Have you seen stem cells?
Yes. It's
Hmm.
the body's own cell that have the potential to grow and divide into different
Hmm.
different categories depending कि हम कौन सा फैक्टर उस पर इंड्यूस करते हैं
Yeah.
एंड उसको हम किस लाइक व्हाट डू वी एम टू अचीव आउट ऑफ इट.
Yeah, depending, it's totipotent, multipotent, totipotent stem cells, or embryonic mesenchymal stem cells होते हैं. You can derive them from bone, hair follicle, or blood, and you can differentiate these stem cells into different lineages. Okay, now you should need to start to use these terms. You're a PhD student, start to use these terms. You can differentiate stem cell into different lineages, can become a fibroblast, can become a keratinocyte, can become a bone cell, can become a muscle tissue, or even a nerve cell. So yeah, so stem cells are the body's natural reservoir, replenishing stocks of specialized cells that have been used up or damaged. So stem cells kind of store, they have this thing inbuilt in them that they are able to differentiate. Okay. Now, when we talk about stem cells, if you No, if you know fertilization when fertilization happens when it goes from morilla, blastilla. So those cells are usually totipotent. Totipotent means that they can differentiate into any cell line, any cell type. So yeah, and once the one of the coating of that egg is taken out, they become multipotent. So they lose their totipotency, and then they become specialized cells. And when you talk about stem cells for dentistry, do you know the cells that are able to help in growth of dentine enamel and cementum and pulp and bone? Those cells, कुछ याद है? That's very basic embryology, but you must have heard it in your undergrad. Mm,
Odontoblasts are involved in
neural crest
that.
cells. Neural
Okay, yes,
crest.
neural
Yeah, then
crystals.
there's a neural tube. There are neural crest cells,
Mm.
and there is a notochord, and and notochord is formed, primitive streak, all that basic embryology. तो
All
वहां
right.
से stem cells आते हैं. So they have this unique ability to produce copies of themselves, self-renewal, and other more specialized cell types, differentiation every time they divide. Okay, so stem cells therefore are essential to the maintenance of tissues such as blood, skin, gut, and undergo continuous turnover or cell replacement. So yeah, and the image over here showing you a cell is attached. What can you see in the image here? What do you see? क्या दिख रहा है आपको?
This red structure are the group of cells that are attached on something that is a
Hmm.
scaffold.
Hmm.
This
Hmm. Hmm.
brown structure is a scaffold, and the
Hmm.
cells are attached so that they can grow
Ah, so in
further.
inshallah, by the end of this course, you'll be saying that yeah, I can see a cell, I can see some cytoskeleton, I can probably see it. I don't know whether it's a nucleus or what is going on. I don't know what cell type it is, but it's attaching by its cytoskeleton, and it has got these adhesins and integrins, and the base of the biomaterial is sort of a porous material, and it's got these little crystals, and it's got these grain boundaries in them, and the cells is trying to attach and spread. And one of the reasons why cells do this is they're trying to communicate. They're trying to find out, specifically this one is spreading out, is trying to see, hey, is there anybody close to me that I can connect, grow, multiply? If it's not, it will keep on growing, and if it's not able to find anybody or any other cell, it probably will die. So yeah, unless it gets some nutrition from someplace. That is why it's so much of the cytoskeleton is so much spread out. So yeah, the most well-established and widely used stem cell treatment and transplantation of bloodstream. Let's see, does this work? QR code, unless you're using it on your. Yeah. So when you finish this class, so you can always go on to the QR code. This QR code will take you to my lab in Sheffield that was using it was a tissue engineering lab for skin and bone. So whenever we finish, just go there and see the video. Okay. Uh,
All right.
so further, since 1980, skin stem cells have been used to grow skin grafts for patients with burns on very large areas of the body. So stem cells were used. Patient stem cells uh, were extracted from either bone marrow or blood. They were grown, they were multiplied, and then they were used on their own, or they were used in combination with a scaffold. Okay. Uh, a new stem cell based treatment to repair damage to the cornea, the surface of the eye, which is surface after an injury like chemical burn, has recently received marketing approval in Europe. So, lot of products are being introduced into the market, which are based on using stem cells. Okay, now you can see that stem cells are also being used for growing hair, or regenerating hair as well. So they have this potential to uh, be used in a number of different places. Chaliye. Enough about cells. Let's go and speak about scaffold or template or
Scaffolds.
constructs. सही है. Now, a scaffold or template or even a substrate. सही है. As I said earlier, it's a carrier It can be porous, it can be non-porous, but its main aim is to carry the cells, the growth factors into the targeted tissue. Okay. Now, a scaffold key, I've listed very few properties here. There are a lot of different types, but most of the properties that depend on the tissue that you are regenerating. Okay. Now, in this case, I've written down bioactive, bioinert, biodegradable, bioresorbable, and topography. Um, so bioactive, and as we go ahead and we talk about uh, different topics, I'll explain you what bioactivity is, what bioactivity index is, what makes a scaffold bioactive. इसका मतलब है कि a scaffold can also exist which is not bioactive, and those scaffolds are usually called as inert or bioinert. A scaffold, any example of bioinert scaffold that you know of? कोई चीज आपको पता है जो कि bioinert will does nothing, will go inside the body and do nothing.
And that does not do nothing.
Yeah, because say, so if we talk about implants, so dental implants are,
Implants, titanium,
yeah. So if an implant is not coated or etched with hydroxyapatite or any bioactive biomolecule, it will be bioinert. Matlab, it will go inside the body. The body
and do
will
not react with the body.
exactly. It will not create any immune. It will not immune response, or the patient will not be immunocompromised, and it will become part of the body. It will not trigger any biological response. That means it will be inert. Biodegradable, bioresorbable, but two different terminologies. In fact, there's another term called bioabsorbable, and both are all three are have different
Different.
meanings. Degradable, resorbable, and absorbable. Degradable में, a material degrades and the byproducts they leave the body. Resorbable में the material resorbs and the byproducts are part of the body. And bioabsorbable में it resorbs and everything, all the degraded material. I think some is degraded and some become part of the body. I'm a little unsure, can't remember, but this is what the idea, the concept is. उसके बाद topography. So I've shown images over here. यहाँ पे. Have you seen? Do you know what these are?
Scaffold का कोई structure है, that's the
हाँ,
kind of a scaffold that can exist, like one is seen
हाँ,
porous, other has the fibers.
हाँ. So um, what these are called? These are called as fibers. They look like fibers, है ना? Or rather than
Networking.
fibers, more specifically, they look like your extracellular matrix inside your body. Inside the body, the ECM looks like this. Exactly, haphazard arranged. Fibers are overlying one another. Okay. These are aligned fibers. These are made by a technique called as electrospinning. सही है. कराची में नहीं होती, कहीं पे सिर्फ मेहरान यूनिवर्सिटी में होती है, लाहौर में होती है. They have a device, they can do it. This is a scaffold. This is some of my work that I did long time ago, but we created the sponge scaffold, and it's porous in nature, and this is the top surface of it. Okay. More details when we dive into the depth of scaffold. So what kind of polymers are used? As I said earlier, it can be biopolymers, silk, alginate, hyaluronic acid, chitin, synthetic polymers, polylactic acid, polyglycolic acid, PGA, PLLA, um, and a very important role is played by molecular weight. What do you think a molecular weight will cause on क्या effect होगा scaffold पे? What role does a molecular weight has? Every polymer has a molecular weight, है ना?
Hmm.
उसका, what is the role of molecular weight in a scaffold? If it's a high molecular weight,
Uh,
what will happen? Or if it's a low molecular weight, what will happen?
Maybe the possibility of reacting with other substances. It varies with the molecular weight.
So yeah, this goes back down to dental materials, actually very basics. Molecular weight determines the polymer ultrastructure. High molecular weight will degrade very slow. Low molecular weight will degrade very fast. Low molecular weight can
Okay.
be very flexible and they can break down easily. Okay. Say for example,
Alright.
have you seen the plastic bottle, drinking bottle कितनी soft होती है वो एक, और एक
Soft होती है
plastic
जी.
bottle होती है वो बहुत hard होती है. Both are made up of the same polymer, but the difference is the molecular weight. कि आप एक bottle को, you can, a Nestle bottle, you can crush it. It's a low molecular weight bottle. Okay,
Compressible है.
it's weak. It's weak. And the hard, if a molecular weight is high, it's hard to compress it. It's a long chain polymer. Okay.
Okay.
Similarly, chain length, plasticizers, these play a role. A plasticizer is something, a molecule which is added in between the chain to give it a more plastic nature, make it more flexible. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
and I've just quoted, I've just put the image of a toothbrush bristles. किससे बनते हैं toothbrush bristles? Any idea?
Nylon.
Correct, correct, correct. They're made up of nylon. It's a synthetic polymer. Now, what kind of growth factors are we talking about in tissue engineering? So, growth factors, they actually play a very critical role in tissue engineering and regenerative medicine or dentistry. What they do is they are able to direct the fate of stem cells. What do I mean by fate? कि उनकी तकदीर बदल सकते हैं ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स. कौन सा ग्रोथ फैक्टर कहाँ अप्लाई होगा, whether it's transforming growth factor, whether it's insulin drive growth factor, whatever growth factor it is, fibroblast growth factor, वो बदल देगा कि what will the stem cell be like in future. For example,
Mm,
yeah, you're saying?
no, nothing. That what would it grow into? Like
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
decided by the growth factor.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. जैसे if you are seeding uh, some stem cells or stem cells you want to convert it into osteoblasts, so you use something called as ascorbic acid or beta glycerol phosphate in certain amounts, or stem cell would start to show markers that will be maybe osteopontin, osteonectin, rank, and these are markers for bone cells. So yeah, so growth factors suffer from a tendency to lose their bioactivity upon environmental physical change. One of the biggest reasons or problems with growth factors is they are biological agents. So yeah, and if they are put into a scaffold, they are released inside the body. So the biggest challenge is to harness or to control their release. So they can be released at a very fast or rapid rate, or you can hold it and release it. You can have a slow, sustained release, depending on what you want. Okay. Nowadays, technologies have changed. There are agents which have been used, magnetic nanoparticles have been used to carry growth factors inside the body. And when you want to activate them in whichever part of the body, the magnetic field is applied next to the body. In whatever part there is, the nanoparticles will travel on that side of the body and will release or burst and will release the growth factor. So yeah, and this is what's happening these days. Magnetic nanoparticles, if you look up, a very fascinating thing. उसके बाद biomaterials that can preserve the native form of growth factor. So, in terms of synthetic or natural polymers, what they do is you can trap the growth factor in them, whether in the form of nanoparticles, microparticles, or gels, and you can trap the growth factors inside them. I've shown an image over here, and it shows that micro encapsulation have been used into the scaffold, and they become part of the scaffold, and they kind of talk, and they kind of have a conversation with the stem cells, and they tell the stem cells, hey, what are you doing? Let's start growing, let's start releasing these factors, and that results in cell differentiation, ultimately a newly formed tissue. So yeah. And one of the growth factors that have been added, one of the, actually this hydrogel is actually a, a scaffold, is a template that growth factors are very, if they feel very at home when they are inside a hydrogel. Hydrogel सुना है आपने कभी?
Like it's something to carry the growth factors.
Yes, yes, exactly. Hydro means water, gel, a
Yes.
water-based gel.
Okay.
Now, what can these be growth factors be like? They can be platelet-derived growth factors, SDF, VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factors, bone morphogenic proteins, insulin growth factors, chemokines, cytokines, and there is a huge, big number of a lot of growth factors that come into play. And this is one of the papers by published in Archives of Oral Biology. And let me go back a little bit. If I go back to this was published in 2011 by Fawad Javed. This is a Baqai graduate who did his PhD in Sweden. Uh, and he published a paper on significance of the platelet-derived growth factor in periodontal tissue engineering. PDGF has since then, since 2011, has been shown that it has been shown to have an effect on periodontal tissue engineering. So, a very highly cited paper, by the way. The role of VEGF, BMP2 in stimulation of bone healing. So VEGF and BMPs are specifically targeting bone healing using a hybrid biocomposite scaffold coated implants in animal models. So this is these are some of the papers that you can see that are available in the literature. So summary आज की क्या है कि we learned three different things. We learned about cells, what kind of cells, what are they, just a little idea, scaffold क्या होते हैं, and growth factors. And combining these three together will makes the tissue engineering triad. And all depend and cells have a very significant role to play in. Growth factors have a very significant role to play in. Now, harnessing the properties can allow tunable scaffolds that can target therapeutic interventions. What this means is that every patient that you are trying to engineer a tissue for, you will have to put your head together to customize an implant, customize a scaffold, or a tissue engineering strategy. And this is called as bespoke tissue engineering. What does bespoke tissue engineering mean? It's called as customized tailoring of a scaffold. And that is currently what scientists or engineers are working on is, every patient, not one scaffold for everybody, but one scaffold targeted with the right stem cells, the right growth factors, because the growth factors that might function for you might not have a good effect when they are being used on me. सही है? तो इस तरीके से इस बॉडी की जो बायोलॉजिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उसको देखते हुए scaffolds, polymers, engineers, they try to combine these things together, and tissue engineers are the people who are actually putting their heads together and telling, okay, let's use this, and we might be able to put a good scaffold together. So yeah, so this was the end of our first lecture on tissue engineering, a little taster for you, a little trial इसको कहते हैं. So inshallah, this we will go with the main course and platter as we go ahead. सही है. I hope you like the starter. And any questions, please feel free to ask me. I can share with you the. I'll stop the recording here, and then what I can do is